So that's going to be soon in Ankara. And then we are going to be in Turkey for almost the whole month of March.
You
Yeah.
have your birthday here?
My birthday doesn't matter anymore as it's my daughter's birthday.
Wow.
Yeah.
I usually don't remember birthdays,
it's-
but I know your daughter's is in March.
yes.
At least I get the
So
months
we are
right.
going
When
to
is it,
be
16th or something?
16th.
16th, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I remembered. I
You,
bought.
you, you do. You were there, man.
Oh, is yours 6th? My birthday. Yeah, 6th of September? That's right. Okay. And the one is 5th of October. Damn, I'm such a good friend. I know all your birthdays. What's yours?
Thank you.
26th of August.
That was on the spot.
I knew you were. Yeah. That was a question made on purpose. I suspected you were an August baby. I don't really know anyone born in August that is good. Ozan is actually 2 days away from me, 24th of August. Like I said, fuck you. My concern. We are the same zodiac sign, though, me and you. Unfortunately. It just goes to show that zodiac signs are bullshit. Okay, I think I should keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, it's not going very well, right?
Yeah, no. Really appreciate it. You know, I've gotten very comfortable without Elmar here. I kind of occupy his role, and I think today I got a full dose of karma. So and it's been giving back with my stuff. So yeah.
How was the training today?
It was good. It was good. Yeah, very nice actually.
I really miss doing jiu-jitsu.
You know, the best thing about jiu-jitsu is when you have a complete new beginner who is like a super athlete, and then you see how powerfully you can control them. There was this American football player, 108 kilos. Oh, you can roll with him. Yeah. No, wait, and was he what? Was he there today? Yeah, he was there today. The polite kid. Yes.
Elmar, were you wearing your blue rash guard again?
Oh, it was a brown rash guard. I was wearing my golden rash guard.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not hiding. But he can't move. It's crazy.
I know you are not. But you cannot go to places, show up with your blue rash guard and murder everybody. People are expecting like this old dude is blue, and then you show up magic.
Hey man, let us have some fun. So, what are we doing?
Speaking of birthday, let's bring it to the topic of this discussion, and specifically birthday of my daughter last year. It's unbelievable that it's almost a year. She's almost 10 months old, and she's gonna be a year old soon in 2 months.
Yeah,
that's unbelievable. Like literally unbelievable. I was thinking that if one thing comes with babies is that they are the best stone for time measurement. It's like you are aware of time visually at all time.
That's a good point.
It's unbelievable. You just look at them and then of course you don't remember because it always feels like they were like this all the time. And then you look at the photos, like on my phone, the background photo is the third day that we were in the hospital and Simge was being checked out, and I have a photo of Neil, Simge, and I look at it, I'm like, what is this? I don't even remember her that small. But she's walking now a little bit.
Yeah,
Uh,
17.
yeah, she's walking a little bit, just talking, eating, has her own character. Very interesting, like unbelievable.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, let's bring it back to the topic of this
You know what's
dating.
could be a big mindfuck? Even when you have another child and seeing how different they get, and you're like, how? Yeah, because completely different in terms of how they look, how they act, things they take from you or from Singe. It's gonna blow your mind because it's like, we do a lot of talk about diversity in the office context and all that stuff, but when you see that diversity is real, even when you have the same parents,
Yeah.
that's gonna blow your mind.
Another thing that really is mind blowing, one of the very stupid ideas that I always had and I'm thinking about was that when you get married to somebody, when you're hanging out with your partner for life, uh, you don't much care about their family. You're like, I'm not living with these people. I definitely have great amount of respect for them. I see them time to time, but they are not primary. They are my spouses or my partner's parents, and we are somehow not very close until you have a child. And then you see them every day in that child in your house. That's so interesting.
That is true.
Like I see my mom, I see her mom, we see her. A lot of funny things we see, and we're like, "That's my father. That's your mom." And we're like, "Oh my!" I'm like, "How stupid!" When this Jordan Peterson saying, I really subscribe to that. People, it's very difficult for people to become adult if they are not parents. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
We mentioned it today.
Yes. Oh, you did? How?
Yeah.
Not in a good way, like you were doing it now. Yeah, today I was a male, unfortunately. Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
I mean, it's a healthy thing, Shab. Every once in a while to have your ass kicked, physically and
Yeah.
spiritually.
You're
Yeah,
lucky.
it keeps
I
you
was
in
gonna say
check.
you're lucky. I love you, but she would find something to say that is like slick and okay. Let's just leave it here, Kia. Let's go back to the topic.
Okay.
I've had enough Elmar for today.
So, guys, let's quickly, because we have already talked about 2024 several times in person on the podcast, uh, let's have a quick chat about the lessons of the past year. Like, I don't know, let's say 3 lessons that you learned or relearned in the past year, 2024. If you want, you can have a quick review of the numbers. I know Elmar loves to do that in 2020. And yes, I have my notes also. I know
You see,
Elmar loves to do that, but
that's what I mean by prepared, motherfucker.
yeah. But let's say 3 lessons at
Yeah,
least.
remember what Nawal Ravikant said? He said you have to document your misery. So yes,
Chab, do you want to go ahead? Because every time I start with myself, I don't want to start with myself this time.
by all
Is that
means.
me?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, just when you think about 2024, was there any lesson that immediately comes to your mind? Because 2024 for you also was a hell of a year. You
Yeah.
almost
Right.
you almost met your
Yeah.
maker once.
Yeah, that was the biggest lesson, that life is not promised. And a good thing that you told me, you don't have to die to start living. That was a big one, you know, because me being the uber procrastinator, I'm always I also have this tendency of being a binary, right? So okay, I'm either dieting or I'm leaving it for later. It's now or later, right? So I'm dieting. If I ate something bad today, uh, so tomorrow I'll start again, and then tomorrow I start again. And the same thing has been with businesses, with reading, with many things that I know that I should be doing, and I am continuously frustrated because I don't do. But that thing was a not very gentle reminder that you can't keep going on like that. You have to get your ass in gear and go for
Yeah.
it, because nothing is promised. It can just finish immediately. And I was actually angry at myself when I almost died, because you kind of have your life flash, when you're going. And I've talked about this before. I was kind of worried that what will my mom do if I die, or what will this do, what will that do? But I really didn't have a pet project that I was saying, what will happen to this project? Or, so that really was frustrating to me. So, because I really want that as a meaning in life, something meaningful to pursue. And I don't think I have it yet, because my career is definitely not my meaning. So yeah, that definitely was one of it. And let's go
Beautiful
one by
lesson,
one.
though. Beautiful lesson, though. I was involved. I remember those days. I was very worried about you. The topic that we talked about, and I told you, you don't need to die to feel alive, was the aftermath of that you were feeling that, I felt most alive when I was in that situation.
Yeah.
Because, at the time, life is sometimes just very boring. Yeah, unbelievably.
But you're right. The reason I felt alive is because the weird thing with my brain is I need challenges to feel good, right? So, for example, I have a new supervisor now, which is a challenging thing. And it's not like what I'm used to, like Elmar, right? Elmar is a good manager. I don't know if this guy is a good manager or
You
not.
think so?
Don't tell him that. Yeah, he gets a big head. But the thing that I do like is because he's here now, it has structure. Because I never in the team that I am, because it was so self-sufficient for a while and didn't really have supervisors. It was like the Wild Wild West. So you did whatever was needed, but there was no structure. Now I have like tasks that I can do, so I am actually less stressed when I have work to do compared to when I don't have work to do. Because for most of 2024, I really didn't do much, especially because I was away, right? But I get stressed when I don't have anything to do. So back to the lesson that you say, in order to feel alive, you don't have to die. That's what it is. I just have to create the challenges myself. And you know what? You kind of do that through jiu-jitsu or anything else, but you just have to dive in. Just knowing myself and learning more about myself every day. That's the lesson. You have to understand how you work best and force that situation for yourself.
I mean, if you take that sentence and just rework it in a better way, as Confucius said it, is that every man has two lives, and the second one starts when they realize there's only one.
There's only one. Yeah.
So, hell of a lesson, man. I loved it. Great. Any second one?
I'll have to kind of clear my thoughts about it. Let's go one by one. How about that?
Okay. Let's move to Elmar. Give us the lessons, sir.
Hey man, I could talk about this for a very long time, as you can imagine, but 2024 was very eventful, very kind of transitional for me in many senses, obviously, personal and career. I kind of was pretty close to giving up becoming a father again. And then at the end of 2024, I found out that I'm going to be a father again. All things, fingers crossed, everything going well, inshallah. And just to answer Shahab, it's not easy to answer to have something that you were thinking about. What is that one project or projects that what's going to happen to it? And frankly, if you ask me, do you have such projects? I have three, and those are my three kids. And if you ask me at the time of near death experience, would I be worrying about anything else? Hell no. I will not be worrying about my job or any of the hobbies. I don't think there's much of a legacy there that I would feel concerned about. So the only thing I would feel concerned about at this point in my life would be my three kids. And so if it's going to be four, that's more of an adventure and more of things to, prioritize. So anyway, that was obviously the one big thing. Changing the place of residence from Ankara to Gaziantep was a big change. Getting appointed at the very end of the year to a P5 after 12 years as a P4, that was amazing. Not that I wasn't expecting or hoping for it to happen, but I've seen all kinds of things play out in our organization. So, and then I've scored on other things. I mean, we got the brown belt this year, so that was the big deal. I did, my reading saga was fun. And again, this was more of an exploration than anything else, just to see how far I could push it. And then kind of being comfortable with, I don't need to set a target. I'm just going to read the books that I think are fun or interesting and then see how much I can do. And so that was cool. And then, everything else. So, but I think the one lesson that really stayed with me, it was, in fact, I realized that almost every big lesson I got in 2024, I did write an article about. And so the first one was, it is supposed to be hard. And it was an interesting thing because I did tell you before, guys, that the principle of the obstacle is the way has really made a change in how I think about things, has helped me become more zen about life and just about how things turn out, how to handle challenges and adversity. But it wasn't until the job interview I had for Ukraine that it really clicked with me in a different phrasing, that it's supposed to be hard, that it is supposed to be hard, it's to be expected to be hard. If it's something worth having or worth doing or worth being associated with, it's cool if it's hard, which is something that we all, I think, kind of subconsciously embrace, but I never really had articulated for myself like that before. I mean, we do jiu-jitsu because it's hard. It's probably one of the hardest martial arts or activities or hobbies you can think of, but we're doing it and we're enjoying the hard part. And then we take pride in having overcome the adversity or continuously improving at it. And so when I was going through that written test, there were a few moments throughout. I mean, I kind of wrote it on a piece of paper, put it in front of me. It is supposed to be hard. And there were at least 3 moments in that written test where I really felt like I'm not doing very well. And it just was enough to look at the piece of paper and I was like, this is actually fine. This is normal. This is how I'm supposed to feel. If it gets too easy, then maybe I'm in the wrong recruitment process, right? And so that would immediately give me this jolt of positivity, and I would just go back to the written test and do the best I can. And funnily enough, although it was a failure by metric of did you succeed, did you pass the written test? No, I didn't pass the written test. In terms of the impact the exercise had on my understanding of how to deal with adversity, it was actually a success. So it is supposed to be hard is essentially a kind of a reframe of the obstacle is the way, and that is, I think, the most powerful lesson of 2024 for me. And I have a few more, but that I would.
How did you learn it?
And
Where did it come from?
And I keep reminding myself, like when this Syrian regime change happened and we were flooded with work. So now at the border of Turkey and Syria, everybody's busy and we're working like 12, 14 hours a day. The fact that I'm so calm and the fact that every time I feel my stress levels elevating, cortisol shooting up, and I'm like, it is supposed to be like that. It's a good thing. I can handle this, right? It is hard. Therefore, I am here to handle that. And then I can see what kind of an impact it's having around me because people are going to tend to be stressed as well. And when they see that I'm very chill, and they run to me with like you can see the tension, and I'm like, okay, calm down. Let's talk about this. It's all good. They see me smile. They see me relaxed. And it just has this impact around us. Like the other day, we had one deadline after another deadline. We had a high-level visit, and then we had fire in the office. I mean, it was a crazy day. Yeah, Kia, just so you know, on 2nd of January, we almost burnt the office down. So we had fire brigades come and everything in Gaziantep. So it was a lot of fun. Going back to the holiday wishes, may you have a peaceful and restful and fantastic year. And I'm like, no, we all know that's not happening. And I had a confirmation of that on 1st of January when I had an infection. We had to go to the hospital in Istanbul. Then I had to fly to Gaziantep on early morning of the 2nd. I arrive, I handle all the work and stuff, and then fire in the office happens. And then on the evening of the 2nd, I'm flying to Ankara. And I'm like, this is not how I thought I would start the year. But then it is supposed to be hard, again. So you tell yourself that, and you're like, this is fine. This is how it is supposed to be. Yeah, I can talk about this for much longer, but I think you get my point, and that's my...
I love that lesson. I love that lesson. So the lesson was, it is supposed to be hard.
Yes, that is the lesson.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Your turn.
Very good. Yeah. 2024 for me also was a very transitional, eventful, with many... Normally the sentence is ups and downs, but really ups and downs. And
Pretty bad.
very, very tough. And to be honest, I was quite, in a very funny manner, happy that the 2024 was ending. But then I was talking about it with Simge, and I told her that, but then I rethink it. I'm like, tomorrow is going to be exactly the same. The only thing that's changing is that we decided that tomorrow is another year. Nothing is going to change.
Yeah, exactly.
But on that note, what I actually learned from her more this year was the observation that we had about life, and specifically through becoming a parent, observing a baby growing up and feeling the change every moment of her life, which is more visible, which means it's happening in our life at every moment, reminded us of the lesson that the most permanent thing is the change. Constantly happening. You might not be aware of it. You might not, because you have prisoned yourself in your comfort zone and you think that nothing is changing. But of course, you just try not to see it. So we had a lot of change happening in our life. We left our country, we left our home. I left my job. We become parents, meaning that we left ourselves and became something else. I wrote the other day another lesson learned from Jordan Peterson, that if you want to become better, you need to leave what you were. And that was very interesting. So leaving is not easy. Leaving something that you think that you built for many years, moving was not easy. That was a huge lesson, to learn that change is inevitable and you just need to adapt.
Isn't that a Persian saying, that too shall pass? I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Funny. That's what I was also gonna say for my lesson. It's funny that all three of us. I think one of those lessons that you keep really learning every time. That everything is gonna change, and life is entropy. It's chaos. It's always going to change, and you can only get better at dealing with the change. Like Elmar said, like being able to smile because you have developed yourself through the trials that you went through, to be able to take more. And to be able to lead others to take more just by example. I think Devon is not here, but I think me and him share this false. I'm just, maybe it's better just to talk about myself. I have this false expectation that somehow, sometime, I will have worked enough that life will become this calm thing, especially coming from a childhood that was never calm, right? I always think like that, and that's why I'm also never content, because that's kind of living in the future that is also not promised. Uh, so, but it's not that life is now, and now is ever changing, and it's always going to change. And the only thing that I can do, and that's a lesson that I've been very stubborn to learn, and I think it's just going to take a couple hundred more times for me to learn it finally. That best I can do is to do the best I can do right now, and just slowly, gradually get better at dealing with the changes that are definitely inevitable. You know, none of us, I
Yeah.
think, 10, 20 years ago would think that we would be where we are right now. Different country, for you, different continent, but it is what it is.
Yeah, but throughout that phase, go ahead, Elmar. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Throughout that phase, what you need, I realized, another lesson is your social circle, is the social support that you get from your people. And for me, first and foremost is my wife. It, I mean, throughout this, I'm a pretty tough guy, and this is how you guys may know me. But throughout this, she has been pulling me many times. So I'm thinking that's important to have a strong partner. Another
Yeah,
thing,
but can I just say something?
go ahead.
Are you noticing that we're all agreeing? I mean, for me, the understanding that change is inevitable, and everything that we said, different versions of this saying. I mean, I remember Marcus Aurelius saying things like, life is not like a dance, it's more like a wrestling match. So it's like him preparing you for the mentality that adversity is inevitable. Or I remember seeing somewhere that don't wait. I mean, rain is going to rain. Whether you choose to dance in the rain or sulk in the rain, it's going to rain regardless, right? And so, again, understanding that these kind of things will happen and it's up to us to figure out how to go through it. For me, it's a sign of maturity. And I think let's say 5 years ago versus today, it's a very different group of people. And I mean,
I agree.
recognizing, look at what we're talking about versus what same us we're talking about 5 years ago. Even if we asked about life lessons, and these are not necessarily the kind of things that would come up. And so the fact that we're recognizing the inevitability of change, the fact that adversity will happen regardless, the fact that the question is about how we go through it, I think for me, any person I see expressing that, thinking that, acting in accordance to that is a sign of maturity. So I said it, Shab, put you in the mature category, believe it or not.
Let me prove you wrong.
What's your thing? Yeah, prove me by giving me another lesson, which I'll just roll my eyes at.
But to that point, I want to, when I said social circle, I also consider, I mean, I believe it's all of us considering Badgars as a very, very necessary thing in our life. This talk, this meeting, this group of people that we brought together, and specifically in this group, every and each of you in one shape and form for me. Time to time, several times, we had very, very deep conversations with Shah. I really enjoyed. They helped me to keep myself in check. It's very important for me because I can be very adversarial. I mean, you guys know me, but and I can very. It's difficult for me to accept. Let's put it this way. It's difficult for me to accept other people coming up with ideas about me in form of compliments. I don't like that. But Shahab does it in a very smart way that really helps me to understand, okay, I need to take care of this. Like one of them was like, once he told me that, I never forget it. It was like, dude, it's very difficult to hang out with you. Big, and then he was like, because you have very high standards. And then since then, I'm puzzling myself with that sense. I'm trying to keep myself in check. And that was very helpful. And then Devron is not here, so I'm going to talk about Elmar next. I consider Elmar, and I keep saying it, and he knows it, as the starlight. We talked about it in the previous podcast when I was talking about the book, but he is my starlight. I look at him when I'm lost in the desert of my thoughts.
God damn, man. Careful there. I already have a
Don't
big...
make him cry.
That's what I was about to say next. Don't get too inflated. Look, I know he also defines learning in that way, that he tries to do things in a way that helps people to take the lessons and convey the lessons to other people. He does things for people and he expects them to do the best of themselves and do the same or better to others. That's why I keep repeating this, that I look into him because I know it's important for him. And like when it comes to articles, when it comes to like, I know this for sure, and I told this to Shahab. I know, Elmar, that you wrote dealing with unexpected slumps for us. I know that. Tell me if I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong.
Yeah. It's amazing. I love that article.
The
And
idea came after the conversation with you.
And I enjoy reading it. It's like something that I need to. That's my starlight. That's when I'm talking about the starlight. Something that I need to look at and find myself again. So yeah, the social circle, the social support is something that is going to help you very much through this change, which is inevitable. That was the lesson. Let's go back to you, Sean.
Well, good thing it came full circle, because I was also going to talk about the social circle, especially because of the death experience. The lesson was, first of all, I've always had few friends because I believe in the quality. I think we share this idea about it. You can't have too many quality friends, so the number is going to be little. But when the surgery happened, and especially when you came to visit me, having Neil already and having a hectic life, it was a good reminder of what a relationship means. And it was also the same way with my sister, who is having a very stressful job, but she was like forcing me to accept her help, because I'm also not very good with, accepting people's help. Her, my mother, and also from other family members who didn't give that help. So it kind of was a lesson to, again, one of the lessons that you learned several times, to judge people by their behaviors and not but by what they say. And just understand that you have to keep your relationships, how do I say this? You don't have to have many relationships. So I did cut a lot of ties, right? Because I think you only have so much to give. And especially if you're a giver, and I think I'm a giver, some of it is wasted on some people. And I think it's unfair to your close circle, because like you said, like Elmar being your starlight, you need to, have your energy to help people around you and help elevate everyone, you know, you need to elevate yourself. Also, because as you say, Kia, you can only be as happy as the saddest moment of the people you care about. So you have a duty to conserve that energy and be more respectful with the way you give that energy away. I think that was one of the most important lessons for me, because that's not my strong suit, definitely. And again, I'll have to drill that in my head when I'm going back to the nice guy syndrome, but we'll see. I hope you guys remind me also.
You said it very lovely. And also that 8 hours trip on that train was very much needed for me to finish my term paper that semester. So thank you.
Remember, I'll give you a quote about what Shab just said. You know that thing about keep your friends close, keep your enemies close. In one of the Marvel movies, the AI brain Ultron says, keep your friends rich and your enemies rich, and wait to find out which is which.
Nice.
And I don't think I've heard it anywhere.
Nice.
I was like, God damn, Marvel wrote that into the script? Impressive.
Yeah.
Let me go with the next lesson. So,
Go ahead.
you know this. I've had this kind of self-talk with myself for the last 2-3 years about at some point kind of going from desperately wanting the promotion from the P4 rank to a P5 rank, because I thought, I've been at it for 9 years, then 10 years, then 11 years, 12 years. And then the opposite of that thinking, where I wasn't even going to pursue that at all. Like I was kind of moving in between these two views, because, and I told Shab that today, the trade-off between an upgrade, if that upgrade was going to give me more money, more prestige, but make me less happy or busier and not able to do the kind of things that I like to do in my life, I wasn't sure that trade-off was a great deal for me. So I was at some point even thinking, should I just stay at P4 until my retirement? And then, because money is fine. Like, I don't need more money than that necessarily. I won't say no to more, but you know what I mean? So I was at that age. And then at the other age, I was like, yeah, but it's also my ability to affect change in this organization, my ability to influence people, to deliver my message within this community and potentially in the community beyond, the kind of challenges and experiences I get that enrich me and make me better. So I was oscillating between these 2 points. And those moments when I was feeling the most frustrated that it's not happening, applying for jobs, not being shortlisted, getting people involved and using my network at the highest levels, and then still not seeing any results. And then I realized that I just have to go back to the same advice I give people myself. And then I picked up this quote from Charlie Munger, and he says, the safest way to get what you want is to deserve what you want. And it's profound, because what I tell people is, if you think you are deserving.
Such a beautiful saying, man.
Right? If you think you're deserving of, let's say, national officer, P3, P4, P5, P10, whatever, you have to bring your skill set to the level where everybody around you will consider you an equivalent of that level, even if you don't actually have the rank, right? And so then for people, it will be a normal thing. They will start thinking of you as at that level. So if there is a consensus around you that you deserve that, sooner or later, you're going to get that. There's always a lag between the reward catching up with the competence level. You know what I'm saying? Like you could be sometimes the reward comes earlier, right? Like me getting a brown belt. I thought it was earlier than what I actually thought I deserved. But then it's not my judgment. So then I leave that judgment to somebody else. But if you deserve it, like Farhat, the Azerbaijani jiu-jitsu practitioner, for example, I was a purple belt and he was clearly dominating the roles with me. And I was like, this is not normal. He's purple emperor. Yeah, he's younger. Yeah, he's wrestling experience. But I shouldn't be experiencing this much difficulty with him. And so in my head, I rationalized it by saying, you know what? You should stop introducing yourself as a purple belt because we both know you're not a purple belt. Because I was convinced that I was, right? And so I had this talk with him where he expressed a lot of frustration about the jiu-jitsu scene in Azerbaijan, how he's not being, able to access certain possibilities because people don't appreciate skill. And it's all like a little verb and stupid, bullshit rivalries and then that. And I told him this quote and I told him, don't worry about that. You worry about being at the level of the brown belt. And if you're at the level of the brown belt, and if you know and I know and everybody knows that you deserve that, it's just a matter of time. Needless to say, he gets the brown belt. I go around the same time. So then I was like, hey, man, now it's time for you to move forward. But I find that this is an extremely powerful quote if people take it the right way. If people take it the wrong way, it doesn't work. But if you have the right kind of an attitude and you will focus on the right thing, then this helps restore sense of, self-worth almost. And you can work towards that goal without stressing yourself that nobody's noticing it. And just calm down. Just make sure that in your heart of hearts, you're sure that this is what you deserve. Because if you're not sure in your heart of hearts, and you're just trying to get a position or a level because somebody else you think is worse than you got that already, or because of some other considerations, that's just not how you get there. It's not the safest way. So the safest way to get what you want is to deserve what you want. And frankly, after 6 months in this new location and the new assignment where I had to take on the kind of things that I thought would prepare me for the, position, and I had to personally get involved in areas a bit outside the comfort zone for me. I think I did the work in that direction. So when it finally happened, I actually was more comfortable because 6 months ago, I was thinking, what if I do get that? Am I ready or am I not ready? Then I said, you know what? Don't worry about that. Let's focus on making myself ready. And if I don't get it at the end, that's fine. Eventually it's going to happen. And thinking about it like that, people were asking me, are you not stressed? Are you not? And I was like, very chill. Like it helped me relax about this whole experience because I knew I was doing the right steps in bringing my competence level to what it needs to be comfortable at that level. So that's.
I have 3 things to say about that. I'll probably forget 2 of them when I'm explaining the first one, but let's
Write it down.
I don't have a paper with me. I should have. But yeah, so one thing, it's a very good thing that you just said. You were thinking about what if I get it? Because I think this is one of my strong points, actually. If I don't deserve something, I don't want it. And I see in our culture, many people try to portray themselves as more than they are, but I've never been that. I've probably portrayed myself less than what I am because I never feel happy if I am living a lie. So, if you lie to yourself, you cannot respect yourself. If you don't respect yourself, it doesn't matter how much money and anything else you have, you're not going to have a good life. Because even if we strip it down to the most molecular level, you need to have your serotonin levels up. And that comes from knowing your level and knowing where you are in the hierarchy of whatever it is and what you deserve. So when you get to the level that you know that you deserve something, it really doesn't matter when it happens because it will happen. and you will be as who is the guy? Simon Sinek says, so good they can ignore it, right?
That's
So,
not even
well,
Sinek. That's
isn't it? Okay. So the second thing is, since I was like
since I'm
trying to get out of
all of their books of both guys.
the second thing is, I will, the way my brain works is very like circular, so I will connect it to many tangents. I think one of the problems that we have is the discount philosophy, and I'll explain what it is. So let's just talk about basic economy, right? So it used to be a barter system. I'll give you an orange, you give me an apple, and it was fair and square until we invented money. And then I give you 100, you give me an orange. And then you give Kia that 100 and he gives you an apple. But what happened is an apple was exchanged for an orange and the promise of an orange was given, right? So it's all well until discount came into it, because for some reason, I'm going to tell you, hey, Kia, I'm going to give you one apple, but I want two oranges in return, or I'm going to give you, you know what I'm saying? So I'm asking for more than I deserve. And I think that has extended to our expectance of the world. So everybody is looking for a higher catch than they are. Everybody wants the uh, most beautiful wife, the richest husband. I'm looking for a man in finance, 6'5", blue eyes, right? But then nobody else wants to be the person who deserves that person, because they're looking for the discount philosophy. So the best way to be able to live with that person is to become a person who deserves that. And bring it back to the time that I was dealing with this getting out of the red pill philosophy, was that, many of the youth right now, especially looking for relationships, are looking for ways to trick the system, not to really live the system. They're trying to say, how can I trick a woman into liking me, into respecting me? How can I say the right things that makes a woman? But that's the wrong philosophy of looking at it. It's just, the question should be, how can I be what will make the person that I want to be with also want to be with me, right? And as promised, I forgot the third thing. So, yeah, go ahead.
There's a quote by Marcus Aurelius. And you know what's funny? I remember Ryan Holiday saying it once on his videos. Is saying that he has read the meditations like 50 times, and I laughed. I was like, why do you need to read 50 times? But then I had read it now 3 times, and I realized, God damn, that guy was really onto something on many different things. And so almost every conversation that gets a little more profound, I find that there is something Marcus Aurelius has said that is one way or another related to it. So on this one, he says, don't talk about being a good man, be one. And it's it. Simple, very straightforward. And he was personifying that. But it goes into the jobs, into relationships, into how you carry yourself, into how you build networks, and so on and so forth. And then that Charlie Munger's phrase is literally a version of that. If you are who you really want to be recognized as, then eventually you will be recognized as such.
Amazing. Yeah. So let's bring up another lesson if you have. If not, we will move on. But there was one thing that I really relearned this year. That was a lesson that I constantly was reminding other people of it. But this year, I felt that I need to relearn it myself. And then in the end of the year, I read a quote from Leila Hormozi about it, and I really, really liked it. So I mixed the quote and the lesson here, and I'm going to tell you. Which is, the world is a beautiful, peaceful, and relaxing place outside your head. This is my part that I said. And then Leila Hormozi said that you just need to get the fuck out and take action. So, yeah, there's nothing else than our thoughts, and they can make your day as bright as a beautiful day or darker than a night. And I found myself terrible at reminding myself about this lesson last year. So many days I would go through the day just thinking about my thoughts, and then remembering this lesson. So many times I was reminded about it by people around me, like you, Shahab, Simya. But that's a very important lesson, because I am the same person. Nothing is changing. Right. Very funny when you already talked about change, but I feel terrible. And then the other day I feel awesome. And it's all here inside my head.
It's crazy.
That was very crazy. So that was something that I read to.
The universe doesn't give up.
So also a central Stoic lesson.
Choose
It's only things and the way you choose to respond to them. Your house burned, you can choose to say my house burned, or you can choose to be sad about it. Obviously, you're going to be sad, but that doesn't really change the fact that your house burned. It's a hard lesson to follow, but it is a very important lesson.
Yes, very, very.
Stoicism, fundamentally, one of the most fundamental principles of Stoicism is, you remember the article about the Stoic archer, what's in your control, what's not in your control, right? I mean, you see this expressed from Jordan Peterson to Jocko Willing, like to the kind of people that are not necessarily on the same domain, social conversation, right or left, politically or whatever. But some of these principles are so universal that people figured it out 2,000 years ago. Like they figured it out.
Yeah.
Some of the most useful self-talk for human beings is the self-talk that is directed to frame their thoughts with regard to real life events and whatever those events are. I mean, honestly, it's like the more I expose myself to Stoicism, the more I want to keep going into it. Like I'm going to read Seneca's letters, and one of his most famous letters is to a mother who just lost her child. And he's trying to explain to her how to handle this. And he's being kind, but very wise at the same time, trying to explain that now that it has happened, the grieving is not making neither the memory of the child. You know what I'm saying? Like he takes it through a more constructive approach to grief. Just saying, this is the end of my life, and so on and so forth. And obviously the grief is the extreme-ish example of what can happen, what can go wrong in life. But the same applies to everybody else. Burned the house, lost the job, broke up with a partner, and so on and so forth. And I mean, what could be, when you think about it, as horrible as a loss of a child, for example? And so the example he picks to really take you through the thinking process is insane. Like it's the most extreme thing a human being can experience. But I don't know if this counts as a lesson per se, but I realized that some of the best books that I wrote, some of the best lessons that I've seen are not new. Like it goes back to those guys back in ancient Rome, ancient Greece, who have expressed this very clearly, very briefly, very, smartly, poetically almost. And here we are 2,000 years later, rediscovering some of the same stuff. And frankly, not having learned the lessons that we could have learned in the meantime. Like when I read a little more about the cognitive behavioral therapy, very clearly the authors of it from the 20th century are saying that we have the foundations of this theory, which is one of the most effective ways of psychotherapy, are in the philosophy of Stoicism. And most people who practice CBT don't even know that. But it goes into other methods and so on and so forth. So anyway, so that was one thing. The metaphor of the Stoic archer, the fact that our decisions and the outcomes of our decisions are not the same. And we shouldn't judge decisions by the outcome. Of course, we want a successful outcome. But if we talk about real life, so many things can go wrong that the outcome is not entirely dependent on you. What is dependent on you is your action. You have prepared, you've learned, you've, extended the bow, you've done everything perfectly. Once you release the arrow, you should be at peace with whatever outcome takes place. And so it's an extremely deep thought, even on things, you notice people getting on a plane and plane getting shot down, and you're like, they shouldn't have gotten on a plane. Really? No, the decision is not wrong because the outcome was catastrophic. The other article I wrote was Be Your Own Rusticus. If you remember, Rusticus was one of the mentors of Marcus Aurelius. And so the article was talking about what kind of a role this person played in Marcus Aurelius' upbringing and becoming who became. And that most of us do not have a mentor like that. And that we should be that mentor for ourselves. And I was going through some steps in the process, but that self-mentoring is a very essential thing. The other lesson that I'm learning now, and I'm probably going to be learning for the next few years, is that the purpose of power is service. And I'm going to write about that, and I'm really tapping into Marcus Aurelius on that particularly, because again, I've said it many times. The man was the most powerful person on the planet. He could have made the entire nations disappear. Like, you don't have that level of power nowadays. Yeah, some countries have nukes, but everybody has checks and balances. There were no checks and balances at the time. So if this man chose, and certainly we have seen certain Roman emperors who went the path of the crazy because there was nothing to constrict their freedom and authority. But this man wrote in his own meditations that were not meant to be read by anybody, that my purpose is the service, that I look at the power as a way to make things better. And he had to deal with all kind of calamities and disasters and all that. But the fact that power is connected to the surface is not how usually most people speak about power, whether you mean financial power or political power. But power is service. And I think that's a very profound thought, and in Stoicism, which is very misunderstood philosophy, of course. But one lesson that I want to speak about more in detail, and this is another one I've written an article about, is that leadership is not a rank, it is a choice. That was a lesson which I kind of intuitively was absorbing throughout my time in UNHCR, throughout my life, but I really saw that in the last few months. And I saw that in the example that we had where, I'm part of a structure where there's a head of a structure and I was kind of a second in command. And there was an action that had to be taken and the first person was not taking it. And there were a lot of moving parts, and you can't say that the first person was to be clearly blamed for it, but you could see how many things were in motion and how bureaucracy and the complicated decision-making would, make things harder to move forward. And so I kept telling myself that this is something that needs an urgent solution. This was about building not being safe for staff, and then we had to take action. And literally within 2 days, I made it happen. And because I did it in a manner that made it very consultative, spoke to everybody, trying to understand exactly what people's concerns are, negotiating with people who were against, explaining, trying to really genuinely understand their point of view versus the people who were for, really bringing everybody together as a team to make this happen. And it happened so fast that everybody was shocked at how quickly I was able to make it happen. And then it reminded me of this quote, and I went back and then I wrote an article about this, because one of the things that I try to also explain to the staff who are G5, G6, or at whatever rank, and they feel they don't have an impact on anything, is that leadership is not a rank. People who have rank are not necessarily leaders. And people who are leaders do not necessarily have rank. You can be a manager thanks to the rank, but you cannot be a leader thanks to the rank. And I think this distinction often escapes people, and they forget that you can be a leader in your circle. I mean, a lot of people who listen to me are not under my supervision or are not by any way or shape or form obliged to listen to what I'm saying. But they listen and they respect the competency or perhaps, the value in what I'm bringing to the table. And then I take the initiative to also pass that message in a manner that gets people to listen to me, because I make it clear that the purpose is to help them and to make their lives better, as opposed to elevate me and make my reputation or, money or whatever better. And so understanding that principle has made a difference for me everywhere. Seeing how even people higher in rank than me would listen to what I have to say. And I think it is important because it can also be very liberating for people, because they're like, well, who am I to do? I can't do anything. Like this whole, I can't do much, I can't do anything thinking. And I'm not even going as far as, the whole victim mentality, but like limiting the options in your mind as the starting point really cuts down the things you could do potentially. And it goes back to the earthquake time when people were not sure what they could have done. Who am I to make a difference? Well, can you bring an earthquake victim family and host them in your house for 2 weeks? Like you could take action, you could take initiative, and you could also do the work that is required to make that initiative good, to convince people. You could learn how to convince people and impress people and be a good public speaker and so on and so forth. And as long as you do your part by choice, not by rank, by choice, then the rest of the things, again, what I mentioned earlier is the reward will catch up with the competency, but you have to take the choice of being that person that is it the lead, that's trying to make a positive change and so on and so forth. And you may fail, and that's okay. But it's much better. That's a much better place than sitting at home and saying, what could I possibly do? With that thinking, nothing. So that's, I would say, my number 3 lesson in terms of importance.
Very interesting. I don't know if you remember it, Elmar, but Jocko Willings in his book, Extreme Leadership, talks about it in one chapter of chain of command in military not being top-down, but it's actually horizontal, meaning that sometimes command comes from the foot soldier who is actually in the field.
Yes.
And that command can be as equal as the command of the general sitting in the office and like observing the operation going on. That was a very interesting book that I read and I really liked. And I always advise people who actually they think they have no role to make a change, reminding them about that mentality of chain of command, not necessarily being like standing in a top down, because it's a chain.
It should not be a limiting factor. If you prepare yourself correctly, if you train yourself correctly, 5 minutes with the representative, you can make a change. Can you convince her? Can you really explain your point clearly without stuttering or without freaking out? Have you done your homework and learned really about the issue? Or are you talking out of your ass? You know what I'm saying? And extreme ownership for me is an extremely powerful formula, because it goes in both directions. Like Joko says, if the staff under your supervision screw things up, start by saying, what could I have done wrong as a manager to teach them better, to give them resources and materials so they could do a better job, right? How can I make it better in the future? And if your bosses dismiss your proposal, then you should do the same kind of what could I have done to convince them, to make a better pitch, to make a better project proposal, and so on and so forth. And I find, and it's it's funny to observe how people react to me giving them this talk, because some people will say, but that's exhausting. And I'm like, now is the crux of the issue. Are you concerned about it being difficult, or are you concerned about having the right tools to move your agenda forward? And if you really want to move your agenda forward, I'm showing you how it should be done. And it's not going to be easy. It's supposed to be hard, remember? But you can certainly make a bigger difference than you think you can, as long as you embrace this extreme ownership mentality. And again, when you think about it, extreme ownership is nothing but going back to the roots of Stoicism and asking, what can you influence as opposed to what you cannot influence? If I sit at home and rep is deciding or head of office is deciding something, I don't have any influence over it, but I could do the homework and go and have a conversation and try to make my point or my colleague's point across. And then if I do it correctly, then A, I can learn from it, B, the person might accept my point of view and you will make a difference, right? And so when people don't do leadership without rank, when they don't display extreme ownership, when they don't try to take this, what I consider supremely empowering principle of, I'm not going to think about what is outside my control. What can I actually do? And you lead with that, you get to places that you didn't think you could get to. And then you will learn from the experience and you'll move from it.
Fantastic. Chop, is there anything that you want to add from 2024 lessons?
No, I'm good.
Great. So, shall we move to a quick look ahead to 2025? Is the right? Are we good on that one?
Yes.
Okay. I started myself. I'm trying to be as humble as possible this year with the location of the bar. I mean, you guys know that how difficult is that for me to put the bar low, but I have to. I don't know if this is low, but you guys are going to tell me. I'm going to call this the year of 24. For me, it's going to be the year of 24. Meaning that I'm going to read 24 books. I'm going to write 24 articles. And I want to record 24 episodes of podcasts.
God damn.
Yeah, right? That's not a very low bar.
Not really.
Yeah, no. But it should be manageable. I mean, at least I want to try and fail on whatever number it's going to be by the end of the year. But I want to try quarterly because it looks more manageable when it's quarterly. When it's quarterly, it's just 6. It's going to be...
Yeah, but knowing you don't have the paralysis if the bar is too high. So I think you should set the bar high. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
Yeah, you do the work. That's the impressive thing about you. You do the work because it's due, so you put in the work. Me, on the other hand, if I set the bar high enough, I'm like, fuck it. I'm not doing anything.
So yeah, that's the year looking like for me in advance. So the year of 24 this year. I mean, it actually should be last year, the year of 24, it's just 2024, but it's fine. It can be 2025, the year of 24.
Okay, let me go next. I have some New Year resolutions.
Go ahead.
First of which is I want to sleep more. And
Wow.
I have to recognize that, all the things that I can proudly put on the table for 24 or earlier. I mean, I've read 100 books in 2024. By comparison, it was 40 a year before, 32 a year before that, which are pretty good numbers when you think about it. 40 is great. And so...
meaning that you really need to sleep on them now.
No, I need to just dial this thing down because I realized that to be able to do this and many other things, I have cut from the sleep. That's cutting from the sleep is one of the things that I always do to do more than most people. I have had 300 workouts in 2024. That's a lot of workouts, which is great, and we should aim at daily. But oftentimes I make a mistake of leaving the workout to the end of the day when everybody else is asleep, where I can but then I cannot fall asleep right after that. And if you have the working day right next, then I go to sleep at 2. I have to get up at 8. So there you go. You don't get the normal night sleep. So my first principle for 2025 is sleep. Okay. My number 3 is I'm going to have a baby sometime in July-ish. So the whole year is probably going to be colored in that sense, first by the pregnancy and then, the first few months of the baby's life, boy or girl, we'll see. And so that's the big thing for 2025.
Amazing.
Yeah, because this is also the year when my oldest son is turning 23, my second son is turning 20, and my monkey is turning 10. So that's just the
Wow.
whole spectrum of babies.
Of bad Europes.
Yeah. So the next thing is I really want to concentrate on the job, and I want to concentrate on this because this office has been unfortunately in dire straits. Suffice it to say that I don't know how many resignations we've had in the last year because people just have had enough. And I think after the earthquake, the team has really struggled to find its footing and to find the kind of an atmosphere where people would be doing things that they do with a little more sense of belonging and comfort and so on and so forth. And so there's going to be a lot of building of the structures and processes and systems. And then I want to combine it with just taking it easy overall. So for 2025, I'm going to make this a bit of a filler year and not really set any hard targets in terms of what I'm going to do in terms of reading, writing, anything else. I will still aim at exercising as much as I can every day because I need that to be able to do everything else. I'll write whatever I feel passionate about without any specific targets. I'll read whatever I enjoy reading, and then we'll see how that goes. And I think one thing that I genuinely want to do better in 2025 compared to 2024 is jiu-jitsu. Now, it's hard in, where I am, of course. I don't have very high level of position. But I want to work because I was thinking about this for 2024. I did 90 training sessions, which is not a lot when you think about 50 weeks. So that's like average of less than 2 training sessions a week. Now, it's more than most people, of course. But when I think about 2023, I had 135 sessions. And when I think about 2022, I had 175 sessions. So that was like at least 3 times a week or more. So 2022 was really when I went all in on jiu-jitsu. But it's not the number that I'm concerned about. It's looking at how 2024 panned out. It's how much I have actually done learning. Now, I have refined things a lot, but I didn't really add a lot of new things to my arsenal. And I want to address that in 2025 and really focus on a few areas and learn new tricks. And I think that will be my focus, instructionals, practice, teaching, and combining this to become a better overall jiu-jitsu practitioner. So I would say in terms of BJJ learning, that's what I want to do. But I'm not setting any targets for language learning, for example. I'm just going to do whatever I want on Spanish or anything. I'm not setting any target in terms of piano. I'm going to play whenever I feel like, whatever I feel like, and so on. Reading, writing, same thing. So I'm just going to try to chill as much as I can because 2024 was a tight year and I still kind of scored on a lot of like my finances. I hit my targets at the end of the year. Career done. Many other things. But I did feel tired the last 2 months. Like I really feel like I was going on fumes. And the last 2 months was really when I was needed to be on high performance because that's when I was in November, the OIC most of the months. And then in December, I really took over. So going forward, I want to kind of just focus on that for the first few months and see how that goes. Now, I say all this. However, I did plan to read 20 books in 2024, and I ended up...
Yes, that was what I was about to say that.
So I'll have to remind myself to keep it down and to sleep.
Take it easy.
Yeah, that's why I start with sleep and nothing else, because, I know that after July, I'm going to have a hard time sleeping for a while, as Kia knows from very recent experience.
Oh, yeah.
My plan.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Amazing.
man, you all are having babies. It makes me want to also have a baby. should I put a put a new resolution of becoming a father also?
Well, I think
Yeah, you should put a resolution of finding the mommy first.
I was going to say
Exactly. That was my point.
with that condition first.
Yeah.
That is actually the resolution. Are you done, Elmar? Or did I just rudely cut off? Okay. So that is part of the New Year's plans. So I'm back in the market, boys. I'm opened up. You know, Kia knows.
We are very much out of the market, by the way.
Well, yeah, exactly. So Kia knows that because I wasn't looking for a relationship and I wasn't ready for a relationship, I was getting stuck in a broken one just because it was comfort zone. It wasn't even comfortable, but it was the comfort zone.
It was the acclimated discomfort.
Exactly. It was the comfort in the knownness of discomfort. So in 2025, I'll be open. I'm not like in the beginning of it, let's say the first half, I will not be actively looking, but I think by the second half, I should really start actively looking. I'm getting old. I'm going to be 34 in 2020 in a bit. So
He's very old, Elmar.
fuck you guys.
Hey, man, when I was your age.
Yeah. So there's that.
Wait for a second. He said, when I was your age. Elmar, I sent him, sorry for cutting you off. I sent him a video of a girl like squatting, I don't know, 100 something. Beautiful squat. And I wrote to him, I did 75 last night squat. And I wrote under it, I feel pathetic. And it was like, hey man, don't compare yourself with her. You should compare yourself with other dads. And then I wrote, Elmar? Question mark.
Send the screenshot to him.
And then I was like, I would rather compare myself with a girl than comparing it.
Yeah.
Hey man, I think my highest deadlift when I was 41. And then
170, right?
180. I did the biggest house.
Really?
Yeah.
4 weeks.
180.
Yes. And obviously this was, I knew we were going to do that because we were going to have the New Year's Eve at his house, at Daddy and Biggest house. And so for like 3 weeks before that, I made sure to just do calisthenics at home because I knew this was coming. But I didn't
prepare myself.
Deadlift session to prepare myself, right? And so in my mind, and then Sharp also convinced me, and I believed in that if I trained on this, I'd hit 200, no problem. So I kind of was like, 80, no big deal. And then I squatted. I think I squatted 150 most. And bench press, my highest was when I was younger. I did 110. In Birgit's house, I think I hit 100, and I was like, I'm happy with this. Fuck it. If I hit 100, I feel like I belong to a club or something. But so my point to you is, Kia, everything is still ahead of you, buddy. You still have a lot.
Kia, what are you? You're 5 years older than me, so you're 38, right?
I'm not 38 yet. I'm going to be 38 in 2 months.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
Plenty of time.
No problem.
Plenty of time.
Yeah.
No, but you also like me, right? So
Who?
you're also lighter than me by quite a bit.
I was 71.3 today morning.
All right.
I'm on this carnivore diet. I'm recording everything. So
yeah, I'm 76.9. I was a couple of days ago.
sorry, Shop. Go back. Go
No
ahead.
worries. So being on the topic of lifting, I want to get back to lifting. Even if it's not 3 days a week, which is, again, we talked about the lessons. I was doing nothing because I couldn't do 3 days a week. And it was too much. So I at the least I'm going to do 1 day a week. So we'll see how that goes. And that will help me fix my sleep too, because after starting TRT, I've been really not paying attention to my sleep because it kind of, my barometer of my health was my physical appearance, and the testosterone is keeping it better than it should be based on my life choices. So sleep should be optimized.
Dude, I
Let's
saw these
face-
shots today. They look crazy. Like they really popped. I don't think I've ever seen him in such a good shape before.
Amazing. Good job.
Thank you. This is not even the best form.
No, I know.
Yeah,
I know. You
it's not-
tell me, but like visually, yeah.
Yeah. And what was I gonna say?
Yeah. What were you
Oh
going
yeah. So again, going back to the setting the bar low enough so I don't paralyze myself, I was gonna say I should make 56 videos on YouTube. So what I'm gonna do instead, I'm gonna say 20 videos on YouTube, setting the bar really, really low. That means 2 videos per month, even if I don't do January and February. So let's go with that. And in 2024, my laptop password was Fix ADHD 2024. And in 2025, it's related to YouTube. So that will remind me daily that, oh, but by the way, very fun fact, today is the 4th, right? I think yesterday or today, I sent the last installment of this very iPhone that I'm recording this on to Kevin. So now I officially own 100% of my phone. And this phone was bought to make YouTube videos. And it's been a year. And I'm reminded that, oh, it's been a full year that I did do a YouTube video. So it's about fucking time.
Better to be.
Can I
Yeah.
just again? We talked about this today, but just to replicate, and also Kia hears this. Don't say I will do X number of things in a week, right? I did this. Kia remembers when I committed to writing a certain number of articles, and I knew it was going to be hard. So every time I started an article, I was telling myself, I'm going to do an article this week. That's it. And it didn't always work, by the way. But that helped me more than 40 or 44, whatever target I had for a year. So just, the week. This week ends on Sunday. Okay, we skip this week. But then next week on Monday, you already should be in the mindset of, I will post by the end of this week 1 video. And so that should be your target. And I feel like that helps me avoid all the pressure of what targets I should hit, blah, blah, blah. And so just say this week.
I was perpetually stuck in the it has to be perfect zone. So Bike was going to help me get judo mats. Bless you, sir.
Thanks.
Bike was going to help me get judo mats for my room. So I was going to turn my room into a jiu-jitsu kind of small studio to record it. But I don't really have to do that. I can go find a place, an Aikido place that has judo mats if I really want to record and rent that place for some sessions and record some videos. So I'm gonna be really, really careful, and I hope you guys remind me that I need to not paralyze myself about this.
This video is going to go out live. It's going to be on YouTube, Spotify, every and each podcast platform, because this is going to be the last episode that I'm going to record before releasing everything. So I'm going to release the 4 episodes that I have right now. This is the episode number 4. That's going to be there. I'm going to send you shorts from it time to time when I see you not following your goals, and you're going to be so happy about it.
Thank you,
and
sir.
not only you, that's going to be on the internet for everybody.
Hell yeah. That's how I like it. I need some fire under my ass. Yeah. So I think that's about. About my ICR career. So there's a thing. I am going to apply to Ante. So maybe you will have a very good jiu-jitsu practitioner to practice with, Elmar. And even if it's not me, you probably will have a good jiu-jitsu practitioner to practice with. But this decision is made knowing that I've hated this career for the past 8 years. And from the beginning, I said, I'm going to get in this and I'm going to get out. To be able to get out, I need to have another source of income. So I haven't done it. So what I told myself was, if you are not going to improve to get deeper into the system, to not get in the comfort zone, at least you need to do the other thing. So by the time the decision comes out, if I have done enough process on my YouTube, which means for me, if I have started and I'm having a semi-disciplined, regular schedule of posting videos, I will probably, if I get accepted, not accept it and stay in Ankara and keep doing what I'm doing. Otherwise, I will have to suck it up and just start improving in my career in UNHCR and just start to climb the ladder. So that's also the realistic decision that I make. Very good. Back to you, Kia.
Back to me, I just mentioned that this year is going to be the year of 24, but I didn't talk about details. I also have a language learning goal for this year, which is very, I think, try to put the bar as low as I can. But I want to leave the year with my Arabic on a solid B2. I'm in the medium. I'm in an Arabic-speaking country. I so far am doing all right with the courses that I'm taking on Udemy, on Pimsleur, on Duolingo, and also on the street with people. I mean, whenever I can, whenever I'm in the mood, I try to have conversation as short as giving direction to the car, where to stop, when I buy something. So that's one thing that I have, and I really need it. I'm going to finish my master's in 2025. That should be pretty much done by the end of the year. I'm going to write my thesis this year, and then it should be over. And what I'm going to do this year, I'm trying to keep the numbers the way that Elmar does for the things that they normally don't, like sport, movies, and also keep doing the daily journal, because it really helps with a lot of stuff. First and foremost, with remembering the past. I was listening to Tim Ferriss talking to Andrew Huberman. One of the things that he does at the end of the year, I don't know if you guys have heard this, but he says one of the things that he does in the end of the year is that he puts a piece of paper in front of him, he draws a line in the middle of the page, and he writes positive on one side and negative on the other side. And then he goes through his journal or his documented whatever he has for the past year, week by week. And he tries to find those commitments, places, people, things that caused peak positive and happiness for him in that year. And he does the same for the negatives also. And then this way, he's going to have a list of what to do more and what to do less for the next year. I found it very smart. I really liked it.
Is this coming from Ferriss or from Huberman?
It's Tim Ferriss saying this to Huberman. I really enjoyed the idea of doing such thing. So I'm planning to have something at the end of the year that I can look back to and remind myself of those peak happiness and also the things that drain me, and I want to do less of in the end of the year. So yeah, with regards to books and articles, I mean, the list is clear. I also know, I know the title of my next 5 articles I'm going to write. So I'm in the middle of 2 of them right now.
Oh, I'm just laughing because it reminds me about my sad situation.
Yeah, so
I have titles and more or less structures for like 114 articles, but I haven't, I can only do one at a time, Shab. That's why I'm saying, just say, I am writing this one. And I like
that approach. One at a time is a very good approach.
Because you see, even when I say like, these are the 4 I'll write this month, for example, that is still stress.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I cannot avoid that. That's how I think. I have to have some planning in place. But I'd rather just say, right now I'm writing this.
I gotta say, Sorry.
Go ahead, Shao. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. I gotta say, one of the most important things I learned from you, Elmar, is I used to be very rigid in my understanding of things. Like when I was reading a book, for example, I was saying, this is how it's done. This is how it's supposed to go. But I learned from you to do what works for you and get from whatever and just adapt it to your own style. So I really appreciate that. Yeah. And especially because you have a weird brain too. It's really useful to me because I understand, okay, this could work. This could work. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. But I was about to say that stress is correct, but sometimes it's possible that you may write more than 2 articles per
Sure.
month because there are some articles that they're like some ideas.
Yeah.
You sit and you write immediately, right? I remember when I wrote the article U-turn, I wrote it on my phone during the days that we didn't even had a house. So we were living we were staying with the baby in our friend's, one of his bedrooms in his house. And I was like, I really need to reflect on what happened. And I wrote the article U-turn. So yeah, that's possible that you feel the urge of writing an article, which is not in your schedule also.
Absolutely. Of course. I mean, like in 2024, I had an average of, let's say, 13 to 15,000 views a month on Medium. And it kind of dropped a little bit towards the end of the year because then in November and in December, I only wrote like a couple of articles a month. So it wasn't very super productive. And in this business, honestly, content is important, yes, but numbers really drive things more. And so if you can keep a pace, it's it just makes it more likely that you will hit a high number because something specific will attract attention, and then it will be captured by Google's algorithm, and who knows then how it continues. Like,
what is the average percentage of reads, Elmar?
Per article, or you mean per month?
No, yes, per month. Like in general, for the year, what is the average read?
November was, for example, 11,000. September was 15. July was
11,000 out of 15 and 16,000.
And then like May was 18,000 views, and then
He's asking about the read versus view.
Okay, sorry, my bad. Roughly 2 to 1. So let's say I'm looking at now 15,000 views, 8.5 thousand reads. If I pick a random, say August, 15.6 thousand views, 8.8 thousand reads. Yeah, it more or less functions kind of half.
Yeah.
December is 11K views, 5.8 reads, something like that.
So what I learned, I don't know if it's correct, but I think it's correct. About what is read is when somebody at least spend 30 seconds on your article. That's what is called read. That's what generates read. But what generates pay, I think,
is engagement.
It's dependent. Yes, exactly. First of all, if they are member, that's when you get paid. Mm-hmm. Second, for how long they stay on your article and how far they go.
If they, clap.
Yes. Yes. And how far they go through your article. Mm. Do they scroll up to the end of the article in a in a time manner that actually a human can read that article? Because it's written, like your article is 7 minutes read, for example.
I mean, I think, at least a couple dozen, no, more than that. I think 30, 40 articles was more than 1,000 views. Yeah. And then the highest number is the Dostoevsky article. It was 58K views, 35K reads. I mean, it's amazing. I didn't see this coming at all, that this would be a topic on which like 5.3K claps, 123 comments. Crazy. But if that's what people are interested in, or rather, if I'm, interpreting it correctly, this is what pops up when people search from among my articles, then it makes sense because I have written other things about literature. And, if I analyze things, so Dostoevsky is the highest.
Down the page, you can tell us where is the lead. You can tell us where the readers are coming from. Down the page, it's saying if it's Google, if it's direct, if it's email, if it's Instagram.
Yeah. So, okay, let me have
1 second, guys.
Sure.
Yeah, the absolute majority is Google.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
30,000 views come from Google, 15.3 come from email, IM, and direct. So
That's the organic search. Yeah.
that's exactly. But like
Amazing.
article is, I was really surprised. Now, I wasn't surprised that number 2 article is luck, preparation, opportunity, which is probably my worst article. It was the first one I wrote back in 2021. This one has 24K, but I think it's because the title really reflects the saying, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Then the third article, top article, is Mamba Mentality about Kobe Bryant, again, because the title is Mamba Mentality. Number 4 is Why Read Russian Literature, 10K views. And number 5 is the problem with the strong female characters in Hollywood. Again, I think it's clearly that the title is playing an important role.
Matters.
Here's it.
Yeah.
Number 6 is 7 Reasons to Do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, 6.8K views. Number 7 is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm a purple belt. Now what? I didn't see this coming at all because I thought, why would... And then the next one, this 4K, is Should Managers Treat Everyone Fairly or Equally? Then I have How to Get Good at Chess, 4K. And then it goes Marcus Aurelius, Carpe Diem, 7 of Best Fiction Books, 7 Takeaways from the Second Mountain by David Brooks. Then 3.3K, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, How to Study Instructionals. Imagine that. 3K, What It Was Like Growing in the Soviet Union. Like 3K, Life Lessons from John Wick. 2.8K, Why Listen to Classical Music. Like it's all over the place. You know what I'm saying? There's no... why would people look at my purple belt article? And I think the explanation is that the people who look for that kind of content don't usually find that kind of content. There's not much. There's probably gazillions things on Dostoevsky, but very few things about what to do once you get to purple belt. And it just goes from there like that. And honestly, some of the articles that I think my best articles are not even in like top 50 of views, because obviously the number is a cumulative number, and my better articles are the recent articles from, let's say, last year. And so it'll take a while to accumulate any views. So there is that.
Yeah, let's look at them in a couple of years.
Exactly. And, you've read Shab, Martin Eden. You remember that? The story of the writer that was picked up and became popular and made him famous was actually the story that he didn't think was particularly any good. But from there, and the reader started being curious about his other stories, and then his other things were being published, and then the publishers were approaching him and so on. So I think that's a very good reflection of how the writing world really operates. Your first...
How everything operates.
Yeah. Your first work that hits is not going to be your greatest work. That's for sure. Can you imagine Dostoevsky thinking, Jesus Christ, look at what they're reading. That is not very good.
That's what I'm not proud of.
Yeah.
Good. Martin Eden was a great book.
Yes. Hell yeah. The one thing that reading does, and Kia knows this, is it just gives you so many ideas about what to write about, what to explore.
Yeah.
And you don't just write your own thoughts, because you also, you want to see what other people think about it. So you do a bit of research, you look at what other people think, you do maybe some factual analysis or whatever, and then you end up producing something which is just an amalgamation of different things, right? But as you saw today, so Kia, today we were talking about GTD, Getting Things Done by David Allen. And so I ended up, from memory, giving to Ozan my main takeaways. And then at some point, I had this nagging feeling that I don't think I've covered it well enough. So let me open the article that I wrote about this 2 years ago. And I opened the article, and as we went through my 7 takeaways, I realized I talked about all 7 of them, like
In order.
Yeah, but not quite. But all 7 of them were covered, and I was like, oh, look at this. So I did absorb the best lessons of that book so well in the process of writing the article that 2 years later, I was able to just recite them to a person who, somehow conversation ended there, and then it just happened. Now, I don't know if I could do it that well for all the other articles that I've written, but it certainly elevates the way you think. That's, I think, it's not.
Definitely does.
Yeah.
It definitely does. Amazing. Interesting, guys. Elmar, Shab, do you want to add something?
Yeah.
Are we good to wrap it up?
Let's call Devran.
Yeah.
So, hey, man.
I'm sorry that he missed this one. And actually, it turned out to be a full almost 2 hours now. I mean, it's 1 hour, 53
when you
minutes.
were gone, Elmar, I was telling Kia, we were both agreeing that this turned out, unlike the other 2 episodes, actually like what we used to talk about. Like, really what we talk about.
Yeah.
Because like the talks in Arkadash were more like today than the other ones that we did talk about. So
I really miss those talks.
That is true. All right. Well, take care, buddy.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Talk to you later.
Big love.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.